When my kids were growing up, Deborah and I had a tradition around Christmas time. We would get all of the Christmas cards we received, typically would have a family picture on those, and we would put them in a tray. And at dinner time, we would each pull one of those out and pray for those peoples whose pictures were on the card. We would pray for those families, for their ministries, for whatever. But it was a reminder, and we would keep those over the years. And I noticed something. There were two types of photographs on Christmas cards. There were the thoroughly curated pictures of the perfect family that were photoshopped and maybe 1,000 photos taken. And then there were the more realistic photos. If you've ever received a Christmas card from my family, you quickly notice we're not curators. We're not photoshoppers. You will see the Merle family in real life and real circumstances, and I don't think we've ever had one with everyone with their eyes opened at the same time and without someone missing a shoe, or maybe most are happy and one of the kids is crying or something. So there are curated and non-curated. When we read Scripture, we see a lot of snapshots of families, of Bible heroes, and they're just not curated. Things are not photoshopped out. They're not presented as the perfect family. We see the flaws. We see the reality. And listen, if you curate and you doctor up your Christmas pictures, then they're appreciated. But that's just not what we see in the Bible. And I want to look at one of those stories and then extract some leadership lessons for spiritual leaders. No matter what you're leading, lessons we can learn from one of these ugly, messy stories. And I want to read a scripture in Genesis 37, a couple of verses, then we'll jump to chapter 41. I'm going to read verses 3 through 5. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his sons. And let me just give you a bad parenting tip right now. If you want to make sure your kids hate each other, it's really simple. Pick a favorite, make sure everyone knows that one's the favorite and the others are not, and I'll guarantee you will mess up their relationships with one another. All right, here we go. Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his sons because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a robe of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peacefully to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. What we're going to see in Joseph's life, it's marked, there are kind of three themes in his life. There are dreams, robes, and times when he was second in charge. And so we're going to look at how it ends up now. We'll jump to chapter 41. We'll see the dreams, the robes, and the times that he was second in charge. Genesis 41. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand and clothed him in garments, or those are robes, of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. Verse 43. And he made him ride in his second chariot. He's second in charge once again. And they called out before him, "Bow the knee." Then he set him over all the land of Egypt. So we see these themes in Joseph's life. When he's a young man, he has two sets of dreams. And in the dreams, the symbolism is his brothers bow down to him. And then the second dream, his parents bow down to him. And now his brothers were not happy about this. They hated him for it. But also his parents were not happy. Then we see this idea of second in charge. We find later on, because of the dreams, Joseph is sold into slavery. He ends up in Potiphar's house, this Egyptian official, and we're told he's second in charge. Potiphar's wife tries to seduce Joseph. He resists her advances. Eventually, she accuses him. She grabs his robe. He runs off. She has the robe. He's naked. She says that he tried to attack her. The husband believes her lie. Joseph ends up in prison, and we're quickly told that Joseph rises to the top and he's second in charge. Even though he's a prisoner, he is under the prison warden. And so he was second in charge in Potiphar's house. He's now second in charge in prison. And then this last scripture we saw, Pharaoh makes him second in charge. We find these robe theme. His father gave him a robe. That same robe, his brothers steal the robe from him. They take his robe. They put animal blood on the robe to trick the father, and they say that an animal killed your son and ate him, and here's the proof, this blood-stained robe. The second robe in Joseph's life is the one that Mrs. Potiphar steals from him. So we've got his father gives him a robe. His brothers steal it. Somehow he has this robe that Potiphar's wife steals, and he ends up in jail. Then we see this last robe when Pharaoh is now putting this robe, this royal robe of authority on him. 3 robes, 3 second in charge, and then there were 3 sets of dreams. Joseph's dream, his 2 dreams about his parents and his brothers bowing down. And then when he's in prison, there are 2 sets of dreams. There's the cupbearer to the king and the baker. They have dreams. Joseph interprets those dreams, helps them fulfill their dreams, and then Pharaoh has 2 dreams, and Joseph interprets those dreams and ends up getting his promotion. So we see dreams, robes, second in charge. It's the pattern of Joseph's life. But what does it mean? Here's the question. Every leader has dreams. Dreams from God, and maybe dreams that maybe you think are from God and you realize later they weren't. But dreams, vision, dreams, plans, hopes, vision, whatever this thing we are working toward that we want to see. When we look at Joseph's life, his dreams seem to cause nothing but pain and persecution and problems for most of his life. His brothers hated him for his dream. His dreams kept getting him in trouble. I don't know how your dreams are. Even if they're from God, they can cause problems. Even if they're from God, they can hurt relationships. Even if these dreams are from God, as you pursue them, some people will not understand, and like Joseph's brothers, they will hate you and the dream as you try to live for that and try to pursue that. So what do we do when the dream seems dead, when the robes have been robbed, when all is going wrong? Here's what Joseph did. He's in prison because of his dreams. They're not really happening. They've been nothing but pain. And so when he does, he gets busy celebrating someone else's dream, helping someone else understand their dream, helping someone else's dream happen. That was the baker and the cupbearer. Now the baker's dream didn't turn out so great, but nevertheless, Joseph helped. And so now, because of that, he ends up before Pharaoh. Pharaoh has dreams that torment him. And this cupbearer says, "Hey, Pharaoh, I remember there was this guy in prison with me, and he helped me understand and live in my dream. Maybe he could help you." Pharaoh pulls Joseph out of prison. Joseph helps Pharaoh not only understand his dream, not only walk in his dream, but he starts serving his dream. Pharaoh promotes him to second in charge once again. And here he is, helping someone else's dream happen. So when your dream seems dead, it seems to take forever, it's just a faint memory, and it used to be a compelling dream, what are you supposed to do? Here's what I suggest from the life of Joseph. As a leader, if you will start celebrating the dreams of others, start serving the dreams of others, start helping other people's dreams happen, one day you're going to wake up and realize God is taking care of your dream. Here's Joseph getting this new robe from Pharaoh. And with that, he's telling everyone, everywhere Joseph goes, the scripture we just read, there are people saying, bow down before Joseph. Eventually, you know the story. There's a famine. His brothers have to go to Egypt to seek food to keep their family alive. And what do? They bow down before him. Joseph doesn't even react to that. It's as if he's forgotten the dream that his parents and his brothers would bow down. It doesn't even seem to matter anymore. He's been so involved in other people's dreams. He wasn't obsessed with his own. And I found that to be true. The more we as leaders serve the dreams of others, doesn't mean we don't have vision, but our vision, part of that is helping other people live the dream. And as we serve others and celebrate others, it's amazing. We wake up one day and God has done beyond anything we ever asked or hoped or thought or imagined with the dream and the vision he's given us. But I want to focus on the robes for just a moment. And these robes were given to Joseph by his dad and taken by his brothers. Then secondly, we have Potiphar's wife taking his robe, and it cost Joseph greatly. She took his robe, but she didn't take his integrity. But at the end, a robe is put on him. When I think about that, I can't really think and talk or preach or teach or write about Joseph in these three robes without thinking about another character in the Bible whose life was framed by three robes. We go to the New Testament, we see that the first time we see a robe in the life of Jesus is he's standing before Pilate, and it tells us in Matthew 27 that the soldiers took his robe and put we're told, a scarlet robe on him, a red robe. They put it on Jesus, and then they put a crown of thorns, and then they took a staff and they beat him, and they spit on him, and they mocked him. Then they took the scarlet robe off and put his clothing back on. Second time we see a robe in the life of Jesus is right after the crucifixion. And we're told those soldiers, this is in John 19, those soldiers take his robe and they steal it as he's dead. But think about that robe. He's been on the cross. It is a blood-stained robe. Once again, first it was a scarlet robe. Now we're looking at a blood-stained robe that once again is red. And then we flip to the resurrected Christ. We see the pre-cross Christ, and there's a red robe. We see the crucified Christ, and there's a blood-stained robe. And then we go to Revelation 19, and now we see the resurrected Christ. And the way he's described by the Apostle John, he sees this vision of the resurrected Christ, and he has eyes like flames of fire. He's on a white horse, and it's told he is wearing a robe that's been dipped in blood. Once again, it's for the third time, a red robe. What's interesting, in Revelation 19, right after it says Jesus is in this blood-dipped robe, it says those that were with him were all wearing white robes. Chapter 19 of Revelation is repeating what we're told in Revelation 3, Revelation 4, Revelation 6, Revelation 7. Multiple times we're told this idea of the followers of Christ have white robes. Jesus had a red robe, but we have white robes. Why? Let's look at this one scripture, and then we'll try to wrap this up. One scripture in Revelation 7, verse 9. After this I looked, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes. Again, that's repeated over and over and over in this vision of Revelation. Jesus has blood-red robes, so we can have clean, purified white robes. His blood cleanses us to white robes. Now, Joseph, at the end of his life, what we see is he forgave the very people who robbed his robe and killed his dream. He forgave them, he provided for them, he saved their lives, he protected them. More than Joseph, Jesus forgives the very people who crucified him, who unjustly sentenced him, who mock him with their lives and words, who betray him, who turn away from him. The very people he not only forgives, provides, protects, but he gives us white robes that represent purity and forgiveness and holiness. I cannot read about Joseph without seeing that story point to what Jesus did for us. So listen, as a leader, when you think like a leader, think about the dreams and visions. Number one, remember the dreams of your youth. They may be painful, they may seem to take forever to fulfill, but remember the dreams of your youth. Secondly, while you're waiting on your dreams to happen, get busy celebrating other people's dreams. Get busy serving other people's dreams. Get busy helping other people's dreams become reality. And thirdly, forgive the people who hate you because of your dream. Forgive the people who take the robe from you. Forgive the people who have made life painful and troublesome for you. Jesus has forgiven us, As leaders, we need to forgive others and not hold it against them. So I hope that helps you think like a leader today, and I hope you get busy serving other people's dreams.